All of a sudden, she made a turn and she became a black person.
You may not be a union member. You better thank a union member for the 5-day work week. You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine the flack that Trump took for that when he said that? And we literally witnessed. Am I in the good camera? Yeah. We literally witnessed in real time Kamala discovering, or at least transforming into her stereotyped point of view as to what it means to be or sound like a black person. I mean, it's so flipping patronizing. I was going to start with the unedited version. I think I'm just going to go to that now. I had to go find the entire context. I had to go watch that entire freaking speech that she gave in Michigan before the union war, because that's a Randy Weingarten behind her. Oh my goodness. Listen to this.
And let me say, every person in our nation has benefited from that work.
There's still Kamala here. There's still Kamala.
Everywhere I go, I tell people, look, you may not be a union member. You better thank a union member.
She's transforming people.
For the 5-day work week.
It's very loud.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Look at her face here.
Because what we know is when union wages go up, everybody's wages go up.
Yeah, really. This is Billy Madison.
When union workplaces are safer, every workplace is safer.
Nib-hop football rules. Oh my goodness, people. I think the world is starting to see it. The more that she talks, the more the world sees it. I can't wait for her to go to her husband's synagogue one weekend. She's going to be giving her speech there, and she's going to say, "You'd better thank me for doing this. Oi, my goodness, Mr. Emhoff and the crowd here. I better absorb, exude the current crowd. Oh my goodness, she's awful. She's awful. And the more she talks, the more people start to see it. Not just awful, however, in all things demeanor, character, personality, etc. Also, all things awful in in policy. You guys see this?
But in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved, if you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill.
When I am elected... Oh, pissing your money away, people. It's funny. You know what the irony is, though? Her father is going to have to pay reparations and not receive any because he's from the descendant of slave owners and not a slave. I mean, it's her Jamaican father will have to pay reparations under Kamala Harris's policy, but no skin off her teeth. She doesn't care. All right, Kamala Harris is an idiot. Terrible. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to have something of a very interesting show today. We're going to get into it in a bit with Dr. Simon Goddek. He's a I knew who he was, but I wanted to see what Google Gemini would produce by way of response. Google Gemini produced a response. I don't have enough information on Dr. Simon Goddek to give you anything. Twitter Grok gave me a very thorough explanation as to who Simon Goddek is. So that confirms Grok is superior to Gemini. I don't use ChatGPT yet. We're going to talk about Simon Goddek, his controversies, and his recent exploration into investigative journalism involving the Krassenstein brothers. Is it going to be interesting, and is it going to be revelatory? But before we even get in there, while we're talking about Kamala Harris and corruption and the government and terrible policies, you had better listen up. The world is getting more unpredictable by the day. Political insanity, rumors of civil war, and unstable stock market, and now the looming threat of a new global health emergency. did you know there's a bird flu summit coming in October, sort of like the one that they had in 2019 about COVID? It's eerily reminiscent to a one that foreshadowed the COVID pandemic, which, if it wasn't to set up to begin with, it was certainly co-opted for political purposes. Mass fatality management planning is being discussed. If that doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will, but there is some good news in the world of insanity. You don't have to be scared if you're prepared. The Wellness Company created the medical emergency kit, and every home in America should have at least one of these. They're packed with life-saving meds like ivermectin, amoxicillin, antibiotic, and even Z-Pak, and it's backed by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Imagine this: no more frantic searches for a doctor, no more emergency waiting rooms, just a few clicks, and the kit is delivered to your front door. In times like these, having your medical emergency kit is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. Prepare your family now. Head over to twc.health/Viva. Promo code Viva will get you $30 off at checkout. Don't wait until it's too late. Take control and ensure that you are protected against what comes next, because there will be something next. Holy cows, people. And if you had any doubt about that, while you're planning for the emergency and emergency contingency planning, you're going to need to be sharp. You're going to need to be awake. Woke, not awake, people. For that, you're going to need to go to 1775 Coffee. This is a Rumble exclusive partnership that they have with Rumble 1775, because when I talked to Chris Pavlovsky, he explained that Rumble was over-indexed in the coffee ingestion field. And Dunkin' Donuts, I shouldn't even mention the name of the company not to get, they're no good. And so in order to satisfy the needs of Rumble users, free speech lovers out there, you need a good coffee. And that's where we're going to get straight to it. You love free speech, the rare and endangered species that Rumble's out there fighting to protect. The show you're watching right now, me, Viva Frei, make sure that you're liked and subscribed and notifications turned on. It's here because of you and because you back Rumble and the awesome products Rumble is creating. How many of you drink coffee every single day? Probably every single one of you. I'd be curious if there's nobody out there who drinks, someone out there who doesn't drink coffee. Here's the thing. Rumble didn't just slap their name on a random coffee. They went all out, crossed the continents, scaled the mountains for the best damn coffee out there. Bolivian mountains, high altitude, hand-picked, bursting with flavor, usually reserved for the elite, but you can get it by going to 1775. I'm going to make sure I get the website right. 1775coffee.com. Instead of handing your cash to woke corporations that hate you, that are selling you crappy, pesticide-infested, moldy coffee, go to Rumble, 1775coffee.com. Use promo code Viva to get 15% off your first bag. I drink it every morning. Well, it's not. I won't show the other. I got my other sponsors that I also consume myself. It's delicious coffee. It doesn't have a bitter aftertaste, and you can support a good company knowing that you're supporting free speech, knowing that you're supporting Rumble, knowing that you're supporting the content creators on Rumble. And without further ado, we shall bring in the man of the hour, Dr. Simon Goddek, who I think is like a doctor, not like I think he's like a real doctor, not like Dr. Jill Biden or PhD in East Asian literature. Dr. Simon Goddek, I'm bringing him in right now. Are you ready? Oh, by the way, everybody, go tweet the link out. Make sure that your subscribe notifications turned on, yada, yada, yada. And okay, we're in. Bada bing, bada boom. Sir, how goes the battle?
Hey, I have to make a confession first. I don't drink coffee.
Get the hell out of here. I'm joking.
But wait, I grow my own coffee. So here in the jungle, I have my own coffee bushes. So yeah, that's what I do.
Do you know the history of how coffee was allegedly discovered?
I have no clue. Do you want to know?
At the risk of making a big mistake, and I don't think I have, I think there were goats and farm animals eating the coffee beans, and then the farmers were noticing that they were behaving a little bit hyper, and so it either had to do with removing the digested beans from their poop, which I'm not sure is the case. That might just be the Kopi Luwak. But they saw animals eating it, getting a little hyper, and they decided to make a fluid out of it. Hence, coffee was born. Internet fact check me. I might be wrong on that. But Mr. Goddek, you seem very young for a doctor.
Oh, I'm almost 40, sorry. Almost 40.
Okay, fine. I just added the 10 years that made sense. Almost 30 is young. Almost 40 still young. Yeah. Okay, 30,000 foot overview, because I think a lot of people may not necessarily be familiar with your work if they don't follow you on Twitter. Who are you? And we're going to get into where you are, why you are, and what on earth is going on in this world.
Yeah. So I got my PhD in biotechnology. I did it in system dynamics. So your whatever Grok was finding out was quite accurate. So during my PhD, I did it on multi-loop aquaponic systems. So I was working on bioreactors, on how to mineralize fish poop, fish feces into fertilizer, including a good bacteria for the roots of the plant. So yeah, this was my work, and in my postdoc, etc. I published more on the human metabolism, on vitamin D and vitamin K2, on mathematical models, and stuff like that. So this was actually my field of research.
Fish poop into fertilizer. Did you study the? I think it's in Victoria Island, British Columbia, where the salmon spawning rivers, and when the salmon die, the trees absorb all of the nutrients from the salmon. So like, there's a specific type of plant that grows out there that's specifically nourished by the decaying corpses of spawning salmon.
Really, I've never heard of it.
It's very cool. I have to, at the risk of making a mistake on that, I won't get too far into it. I am detecting a German accent, right?
Yeah, I'm from Holland, so my parents are from Germany. But I can also speak in the Dutch accents the whole episode, and I can also, of course, make the German accent if you want to. But it would be.
You went from Bas Rutten to the guy in Inglourious Bastards.
Inglourious Bastards, yeah. But he's from Austria.
Super cool. So you're 39 years old. You're an outright full-fledged PhD. You've been studying this now. I guess you've been doing this for like 15 years.
Approximately, yeah.
That's wild. And I think so. Well, your rise to prominence occurred during COVID, at least from the social media general consciousness perspective. But tell us a bit. I mean, if I may, born in Holland. What did your parents? Very briefly.
Born in Germany, in Cologne, with this nice cathedral. Then when we went back to Holland, or we went to Holland, and then for some years of school, went back to Germany. I lived in the States for 2 years. And for the rest of my life, until recently, I lived in the Netherlands. I lived 3 years in Iceland and 1 year in Kenya. So yeah, that's about.
Is Iceland the most beautiful place on earth?
Yes, if you're there on vacation, but it's like, it's an island without trees, or they hardly have any trees. And if you're there for like half a year or 1 year, you miss the trees. You really get depressed due to the lack of trees. I know how to explain it, but living there is a different story. But I really love going back every time. It's like it has a very special landscape.
Very cool. And what were you doing out there? Were you studying out there as well?
I did my PhD. I started my PhD there, and I finished it in the Netherlands when I got an offer from Wageningen University. I think they're top two. I think one or the best or the second best university in the world in biotechnology. So I was like, hey, that's my topic, building bioreactors, doing stuff like that. So I was accepting their offer, and I continued. I finished my PhD in back in Holland.
And what was the year in Kenya about, or how did that occur?
Oh, this was during my postdoc. So I got funding for a pilot project there for a high-tech farm in the same topic, and so using bioreactors in order to remineralize fish sludge. And so the project built me a little house there. It was a huge farm. It was quite cool, close to the Rift Valley. If you know the Rift Valley, that's where supposedly the human beings came from. The first human being.
Living in Kenya is about as far of an experience as I can imagine. What is that like, living in Kenya? Is it dangerous? Did you feel afraid for your well-being, either from human risk or from animal or parasitic risk?
No. So I feel way more insecure walking in New York or Amsterdam or Sao Paulo even here. So it's I felt always very safe, and I haven't come across any critical situation. I mean, like, the people there kept on calling me Michael Jackson. I didn't get the joke first. I'm like, Michael Jackson, I'm like, what? They're like, you were black, no, you're white. I'm like, okay. And when the joke comes like 10 times per day, you're like, okay, this is their joke. And that was the only thing I ever experienced. I found it funny. The other way around, they would accuse someone of racism, but I enjoyed that joke every single time. And that's the most critical thing that ever happened to me, and that wasn't even critical. So, and also animal-wise, they're lions. So whenever you are in the bush, you have to be a bit prepared. But usually lions don't attack. That's literally about it. So it's a very awesome place to live or to stay for a while. The food is special, and the people are very friendly.
And drinking water, like, you don't have to worry about bacteria, parasites, botflies, mango worms.
No, we had a borehole, so we just got the water from underneath the property, so it's clean. But in the city, probably is a different story. It's probably like US, full of fluorides, chlorine, etc. So yeah, but having your own borehole is a different story, of course.
Very cool. Okay, and so you're doing this now, and I mean, obviously, I won't say obviously. I don't know what your existence was on social media prior to COVID, but you rose to prominence during COVID, and rose to controversy. Do you want to flesh that out for those who may not know of your transformation in life?
Yeah, I mean, like before COVID, I didn't have social media. I wasn't active on social media. Luckily, I mean, like now as I dig on the Krassensteins, there's so much to find. I'm happy I didn't post. As a teenager, you do stupid stuff, and so of course I used to have Facebook, but that was like a long time ago. And when I figured that Zuckerberg is evil, I deleted it like 10 years ago. And I have a private Instagram account where I posted pictures from Africa, so nothing special. Not active at all. And then during COVID, I think in February 2020, when people were saying, "Oh, there is going to be a dangerous pandemic. Oh, virus coming from China," I was like, I need a news source. A news source is not state TV, to me at least. The state TV in Holland is quite dishonest, in my opinion. So I was getting Twitter, and I was just reading like the Twitter news for 1 year. I wasn't even active, so I didn't tweet. So I create this account in February 2020. I didn't tweet, just reading. I had my 2 or 3 followers from real life followers, who found me via, I don't know, my phone number or my email address. And this changed in December 2020, when a neighbor in the Netherlands was like, "Hey, Simon, don't you want to explain how this COVID PCR COVID protocol got published? What was going on with the peer review process?" Because back then I was an associate editor of a Springer Nature journal. I was involved in all these processes of how to, like when you're a scientist, you submit a paper and like the whole process, and then you publish it at one point. These are many steps. And he was like, "Can you explain it, please?" And like then you refer to this specific paper. And I was like, "Okay, all right." I looked at the paper. I was like, "Wow, submission until publication, just like 24 hours. What the heck? This is impossible." And I was writing a thread about it, just like very rationally, without accusations, just explaining the whole procedure. To my, I think back then 20 or 30 followers, and overnight it got retweeted. So I think it had like more than 2,000 likes, which of course for such a small account, it's like huge. I was happy if I got like 1 like per week or something. So whenever I publish something that someone accidentally pushed the like button. And this was as this thread was going viral, I got into issues very quickly with my Dutch university. So they got many complaints from people that call themselves skeptics. I don't know if you have the skeptics movement in Holland and in the US, but in Holland, it's like these are like governmental bootlickers. So they say we are skeptics, we're skeptic towards everything, we always question the narrative, but they never do. So they just do they just say what the government says.
Could I pause you for 1 second? Actually,
Yeah.
When you say you were doing the PCR protocol, are you analyzing the method through which at the time they were determining if someone had COVID? Is that the PCR testing protocol?
Yes, that was the protocol. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't go into depth in there because I think Kevin McKernan and others already did. But I looked into the peer review process, because Kevin told me, like, look, this test as such is so biased. It doesn't work. It cannot even tell if someone is infected or not. It doesn't actually say anything. If you're positive, it doesn't mean anything. So I was like, hey, weird. If you combine this with this 24 hours from publication, from submission to publication, then you see that there was a huge fraud committed. And I didn't put it that way, because I didn't want to lose my job. I mean, I eventually lost it, but I put it in a very self-censoring way without accusing anyone.
And the issue, if I do recall, I think it's no longer news now, but the issue was that it had to do with the cycle rate through which they were assessing the virus protein, and basically cycling it through so many times that they would detect false positives basically more often than not. Was that the essence of the controversy at the time?
Yes, the cycle threshold was up to 45. So you could probably be tested being Mars positive because some particle of Mars is like got stuck to your nose, or is at least or at least the test would think it was a particle from Mars. So the test was very inaccurate. In another publication, we showed that the false positive rate in Holland was at least 95%. And all these people got stuck in quarantine, got excluded by society, at least in the beginning. And I mean, like, these weren't fun times. But as I said, in the beginning, I was very cautious because I knew what they do with people who are stating a different opinion. But I thought, like, okay, exposing scientific fraud, I mean, like, is a good thing to do, and I'm still sticking to exposing fraud. But this is like how it started. And the university quickly said, like, Simon, actually, I got into trouble. So they got mad because I published a vitamin D paper. They got mad because I was looking into this PCR test, and I eventually said, like, guys, look into what I said. Is it wrong? And they came back to me. It's like, no, it's correct. But sometimes you have to know when to shut up. And I'm like, wow. Just like, wow, it's like, they're actually saying, scientists, you can question things, but you cannot question anything the government is saying. So I'm like, wow, crazy. So yeah, I lost the job, and like 2 months later, and was suddenly jobless. So yeah, they called me and they said, sorry. So I got follow-up funding for a known project. So a postdoc project is always 3 years, and nowadays you're staying with the university for 3 years. If you don't find follow-up funding, they say goodbye. You have to find another job. But I got follow-up funding, so the chance to get it was 1%. And I wrote this funding application in my free time and included 8 other partners. And I won this, like the 1% chance. I took it. And they actually said, like, Simon, thank you for the money, but we're going to take someone who's less critical. I'm like, whoa. so I got the millions, and they just said, like,
shut up. So you get the grant that's going to be divvied up among research and your salary for was it $1 million?
It was more. It was 8 partners, and it was more than $3 million, $4 million.
So for everybody who knows, I mean, I'm not sure if everybody, and I'm not sure that I fully understand it. My wife, who's a neuroscientist, also, you apply for grants, they give you a certain budget. It's not like you can pocket all of the money. I mean, what's the are you drawing a healthy salary from this, or is postdoc research in Holland as exploitive as it is in Canada?
No, it's actually fine. I think you have a net salary of 2,500 euros, which is like maybe $3,000. So it's postdoc money is fine, the salary. So there's nothing to complain about. PhD salary is a joke. But postdoc salary is all right.
So you submit the application, you get the grant, and then they say, thank you, we now as a lab have this grant, and get the hell out and don't let the door hit your ass on the way out.
Yes. It even gets wilder.
Go on, sir.
So I was contacting all the other partners I put onto this application, because I wrote it, and I asked other research institutes whether they want to come on. Some of them were super woke regarding COVID. They knew what I was doing, and everybody said, like, no, we're not going to take you. We're not going to take you. Like, I got you the money, man. With some of these people, I even wrote a book together, which was downloaded and bought like 1.5 million times. Super famous book on this field. And yeah, they eventually all said no. But one research institute in Norway said, yeah, we're going to take you. And I told them, hey guys, you have to know I got social media, so you have to be aware of this. I'm tweeting stuff critically to COVID, and they were like, oh, no problem at all. Freedom of speech. Nobody will probably care. And I was like, okay, all right. So I signed the contract, and one day after I signed the contract with the Norwegians, Twitter banned my account for asking the Bill Gates Foundation why they invested $30 million in BioNTech in 2019. For medical misinformation, me sending the link to the Gates Foundation website with all the proof, and that was banned. It was, let's put it like this, it was luck. It was good that it happened. I mean, I sued Twitter in Brazil. Meanwhile, I moved to Brazil, by the way, before the Norwegians took me. I was like, okay, I don't have any income in Holland. They froze my bank accounts, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get the hell out of Holland, and I moved to Brazil, into the jungle. My wife's Brazilian, so I was like, I want to get far away from civilization. So I bought a plot of land, and yeah, that's literally
press release. Yes. I'm just bringing it up so everybody can see this in real time. BioNTech announces new collaboration to develop HIV and tuberculosis programs. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation invests $55 million in an infectious disease collaboration that could reach up to $100 million in total funding. and that's from 2019. Okay, well, good timing.
Medical misinformation, they said.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I moved to Brazil. I was working for the Norwegian company, and they we had a Honduran partner from Honduras on the project as well, and they jumped off for political reasons. I don't know what happened. And so they needed someone who's building a demo system in the jungle,
What system?
Demo demonstration system.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I can do this. And they were like, okay, all right. Would be awesome. I mean, you would save the project. Otherwise they would have canceled the funding. And so I started building this demo system, and during the 1.5 years in my free time, because they said like, oh, if you build the demo system, we cannot pay you for this. And they exploited me. Let's put it like this, in a very nice way. But I worked for them. I got my salary. Life of the living expenses in Brazil are lower than in other countries. I pay for a kilo of meat $5. So I was just like living my life here until Christmas 2022, I think, when my phone went crazy and my Twitter got reinstated. So that's when it started. So I think it was 27th of December, and the vacations in Norway went until 5th of January. And on 5th of January, I got a call. So like, hey, Simon, we got many complaints about you, about your activity on social media. I was like, what? What? I was like, you didn't care before. It's like, yeah, on Twitter, just watch out what you say. We got many complaints. And this just continued. I was like self-censoring me so heavily, so I wouldn't say anything wrong, so I could lose my job, but it just continued. And they eventually kicked me out on mid of February. So just like 5 weeks later, after they got back from vacation. And I got the letter from the lawyers. Simon Goddek is exceeding his freedom of expressions on Twitter. So that's what they said. So that's what they fired me for. Which is wild, of course. I mean, like, how can I exceed my freedom of expression? Of course, my first response with my lawyers was like, "Hey, you cannot exceed freedom of expression in any way. And can you say that he said anything illegal?" And they couldn't, so they made up new reasons, and they eventually got they got complaints, but not in a written form, from other project partners who said like they didn't want me anymore in any project. The thing is, I didn't have any communication or any connection to any of the other project partners, because I was just building the demonstration system here and doing my stuff. So there was no connection with me and the other project partners. But obviously they all complained about me. So it's like a totally crazy story. I mean, like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
but academia has been so politicized that it's virtually useless, or at least unscientific now. It's highly political. So 2022, you get fired. What do you do since, and what have you been doing on Twitter that has led to where we've gotten today?
Oh, as well, I'm now creating vitamin D products with my startup Sunfluencer. It's a very small one, not like your sponsor. They're huge, but I have a very small startup because I have publications in this field, and I just took my knowledge I got from the publication to make a product which is very specific, So I'm doing this, and I'm active on Twitter. I'm trying to expose frauds and also scientific lies. So I'm diving into scientific publications. I'm diving into our metabolism a lot. I'm looking into actually what is the Western diet doing to us? Why do people have low testosterone levels? So I'm making all these threads about health that could actually have an impact on us. Not like the impact they're trying to make with quarantining us, injecting us with whatever. So I'm trying to get people healthy so they don't need to get to docs anymore, because I'm not an MD, but I mean, like, I published in this field, so I have some in-depth knowledge on the metabolism, and I'm working on metabolism optimization. So I'm tweeting about this now and then, and of course, whenever I see something going on, which I totally disagree with, like clear paid people, clear con man, I cannot help myself, and I'm diving back into my old hacker being, which I was in the early, like in 2010, 2011, 2012. And I'm just like, doing the depth research, which I did in case of the Krassensteins, who are probably watching,
I have no doubt
They will have a damage control space after this podcast. I know, as usual.
Well, and now I see some people in the chat saying get to the Krassensteins. First of all, anyone in the chat saying get to the Krassensteins already is new to the channel, so welcome. I like to get to know my guests, and I like to get to know the people that I talk with. Their life story is very important to explaining where they are right now and how they got into this. Now that you know that Simon is a researcher, a very smart man, a very accomplished man, Simon, you're I love it. Your target of the week is the Krassenstein brothers. Now, I admit, like I've seen these guys on Twitter Spaces. I've seen them on Twitter. I know what I think of them, but I never have done any meaningful deep dive. I only recently pulled up that article in the Daily Beast. Yeah, I had to go get just like this is already all out there. The was it from the Daily Beast? Fed sees a fortune from resistance icons accused of boosting online Ponzi schemes. And I draw everyone's attention always to the last paragraph, although it's nice that Lachlan Markay waited until the end to say this, where you say, like, they're accused of having run an online Ponzi scheme. Adams, the DHS investigator who looked into this, saw potentially illegal activity, but the brothers were never charged, let alone convicted, meaning no one has proved that anything they did was criminal. But the benefit of the doubt is not a courtesy the Krassensteins have extended to their political adversaries. Quote, breaking, President Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, just invoked his Fifth Amendment right, basically admitting that he's a criminal. All right. It's ironic. And I say no good deed goes unpunished. And also there's a bit of karma in the world. Why does this come up on your radar? And then how do you even start to look into these things to get the results that you got? And then I want to go through your methodology. I don't think you made any mistakes as matters of fact here. We're going to get into it, but how do they even come up on your radar?
So, I think, they popped up on my timeline the whole time. Even when I muted them, it might sound weird, but it was still like a bit older version of Twitter. I muted them and they still were popping up because people were commenting on their tweets. So they were all over and I couldn't escape them. And they were saying stuff which was like so hypocritical. So they could say one thing and then after 10 minutes, the opposite. And I was like, this is like totally fucked up. And people say like, did you know that in the past they were like Justin Bieber fan accounts? I'm like, what? Justin Bieber, what? So I used the Wayback Machine by looking into, okay, when did this account at Crossen appear the first time? And the Wayback Machine was saying like it was maybe like September 2017. And then when you go to this Wayback Machine to his page, and you see like the picture of Ed Krassenstein. He follows hundreds of thousands of people. He has hundreds of thousands of followers. Like the first time appearing, nobody knew about Krassensteins back then, and maybe it's just some Ponzi people. And it suddenly appeared with a huge account, and the Twitter page said who else to follow on the right side. It was like the old design, and it gave you just like Justin Bieber accounts. And I was like, okay, this is wild. And I was diving more into old tweets of his, and people were referring to Justin Bieber accounts. He made tweets like, "Oh, I love Justin Bieber. Who else loves Justin Bieber?" Stuff like this. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And I said I used to be a hacker, so I was involved in exposing the Stuxnet incident. And
what is that? I don't know what that is.
Stuxnet is like when the US tried to blow up an Iranian nuclear power plant. So we were a group of 4 people, and of course there were other independent groups who were also exposing this crime. And back in the times, I learned very well how to do some reverse analysis, and that's what I did in here. So I was always digging further back in time, making a chart with all these connections, and I figured out more and more and more and more, and I was like, okay, this is just like insane. So I did calculations. How could they have that many followers, or how could they follow that many people? And they didn't only follow these people; they followed and unfollowed. So I did a calculation. How long would it take for them? You see, 560.
I can't. I feel stupid because I never even realized that. I always look at that. What's the word? The proportion of following to followers. I never realized that before. So it's a follow for follow type. Do people set up their accounts to do that? Do you know? Are you able to do that on Twitter? Like just set up automatic follow for follow, or do you have to do it manually to follow?
They used a script. They said like they never did. They said like they were clicking there every day. But if you do the calculation, how long it takes you to do this, they were like sitting behind the computer for years without sleeping just to follow these people. And I don't believe that. I don't believe they were sitting there behind the computer because they had to run all the other schemes, their other businesses. You know, they don't sit there for years just to follow and unfollow people. So I'm pretty sure, and I think every digital forensic analyst would like tell me that I'm right, that they were using a script to follow and unfollow. And I have another very hard proof that this was the case. So I think I exposed this like half a year ago or 1 year ago that they most likely use scripts. But when I did this, Ed and Brian both had 506.3 thousand people they were following. The same amount, 506.3 thousand. So how come like twin brothers, you know, have 506.3 thousand like people they're following? It's like it must have been automated. So so these scripts work as follows. So they follow an account, and if they don't follow back within 24 hours, this script automatically unfollows this account. So every follower they get, they like every follower they get per day is also the one they follow. And of course, with the time when they became these Trump reply guys, and they got thousands of likes, most likely most of them were like believers, you know, in the beginning. I mean, imagine you're a Justin Bieber fan, and someone at some point like Ed and Brian Krassenstein are appearing, you know, like following. Who are these guys? Why do I follow them? Where's my Justin Bieber fan club account? But no, it was just renamed to Ed Krassen, and Brian Krassenstein was Jonas Brothers. So he did Jonas Brothers fan account. And I have never heard of Jonas Brothers, to be fair. So that probably explained why it had so much less followers than Ed. So Ed had way more followers when he made the Justin Bieber fans account, his personal one. And I think Brian had much less. But they amplified each other, you know, and they grew.
Well, but even the fan accounts back in the day, like you could only monetize on Twitter as of relatively recently. So when they're doing this, because it's also a known fact, it's in that article as well, they had these Bieber fan accounts. Like how does anyone monetize that back in the day before you could monetize content on Twitter?
They were referring to their own other projects. They had many other projects, like a news website. I think the Krassencast even existed. So they were just getting a huge following and referring to their own things. But I think they did it to have power, to have impact. I'm pretty sure they did.
And now I should preface this, Simon.
Facebook, you know, they did the same on Facebook and other platforms.
I'm going to say this now because there's an expression in French, les absents ont toujours tort. So those who are not present are always wrong. So you're going to see me doing a lot of steel manning and devil's advocate, maybe even literally as we go through this, because look, I've extended the public invitation to the Krassenstein brothers, or maybe to Ed, because I think I muted the brother. I've invited them. They are welcome to come on and refute, retort, explain where you got wrong, although I think they've done enough by way of admitting the material facts of the research. But I'm going to steelman and play devil's advocate because they're not here to defend themselves. And I'm just gonna try to explain it in as innocuous terms, as if I were their advocate. So yeah. You find all this out. I guess the question is this: we are going back now to websites that they owned back in whatever period. The linchpin in all of this is the email address through which the registration occurred, and that's the only thing that I still as of yet don't know how you got the email address, how you can confirm or have confirmed that it was in fact their email address.
Oh, they confirmed it, so I don't need to confirm it because they did.
When did they release when has their email address been known for the purposes of registration of domain names?
Oh. So I didn't look into domain names in the beginning. So I started looking into this when I found I did reverse research. So I figured that Ed Bray 871 is Ed Brian. I don't know what the number stands for. If you go to Encyclopedia Dramatica, it stands for like some gay community, but I don't know. I don't know. You know, it's just like that's the only reference I found, but it's probably some birth date or whatever. I believe, but you never know. So I found out that they use this email address, and they're registered on some forums with this email address. If you look at Brian Krassenstein or Ed Krassenstein, you find this, and you find the same email address in their domain registries. So you find their name, their phone number, their address, and their email address. So it's always this mail address. So when I found a forum where they used to negotiate or try to buy domains, and they tried to buy a domain called Teen Pies, Teen Porn 101 and stuff like that. I'm like, what the heck? There's another rabbit hole I can dive into. So I did.
Okay, so stop here. See, I think I got familiar with the internet, not in the I got an email address in '96, but I was never too familiar with chat rooms or whatever the heck these things are, forums.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Did you get an AOL email address?
No, I had Yahoo. I once gave away that email address live, and it was always filled with spam in any event. But so you're accessing these forums which have been archived. Like, how does it even work? These websites, to know that you're dealing with legitimate archive versus manufactured old websites.
They still exist.
The
So this
forums.
forum, the forum still exists. So you find things from September 2007. They still exist. I think there are many forums that don't exist anymore where you can't find stuff anymore. So so if you see any link to another website that is given in any post or whatever, you can try to use the archive.org Wayback Machine. Otherwise, it's lost. But these forums still existed. So just look for @Bree871, and you can go 20, 30, 40 pages on Google, and you find very interesting stuff. But of course, it doesn't list domain owners. So I have a follower who has access to all the to all the domains and to all the registries, and he was putting in their email address to see what domains they're owned ever in their lives, and and he got me the Excel file with all the domains, and it was wild to put it like this. And I have to be fair here. I have to also play devil's advocate. It was only a small fraction of domains they were owning. It was the porn domains were not a majority. I think it was maybe 1% or maybe even less. But what the Krassensteins claimed, that they used an automation script to get domains that sound like an existing domain. So you have, for example, the domain youngporn.net, which is, like, in my opinion, a disgusting domain. And they have like 5 or 6 different ways to misspell that domain. I think they just want to get people on their landing site, or how do you say, parking site, on this CEDO parking. There's different parking options. But still, this is, having these domains is facilitating child exploitation, in my opinion. So I wouldn't have done that. But then there are other domains that we're like actively looking for, as in Teen Pies. And I didn't know what it was, by the way.
Well, I don't think
don't Google it, guys.
No, I'm not. First of all, I'm not Googling it. I don't know what it is.
Good.
No, because the thing is, you put it in your search engine, you're done for. Okay, now, and I'll steel man it as well, is like, buying porn domains, not illegal, immoral, depending on who you ask. Whether or not they're, I know what the explanation is going to be. Buying domains in bulk, and then I don't know, maybe you generate traffic in that there's ads on these stupid spam websites, and you get there, and if you accidentally click on something, I guess someone gets a penny. And
yes, that's how it works.
The internet was made for porn, and everybody's out there looking for stuff. Accidentally click on one of their domain names that's misspelled, they get a few cents and whatever. It's a way to not get rich quick, and certainly come back to bite you in the ass morally and ethically later on, but not illegal. And the argument will be, even if you go to like teen domain type things, all operates within the bounds of the law. So if there's niche or there's specific things that people go look for, like stepbrother stuff on the internet, not illegal, and they're certainly not really brother and sister, but people like whatever their fetishes are.
Yes. So, but Viva, I have to get in here. So I'm a libertarian. So I oppose porn. I oppose the industry because I know what they're doing. But I think everybody should be free to do what they want, as long as they don't harm anyone else. But when we look into domains like humiliatedschoolgirls.com, how old are schoolgirls in your opinion?
No, I know.
When do you graduate? Tell me, when do you graduate, with what age? You don't graduate as an adult. So schoolgirl is clearly 8 until 15 or 16, maybe.
Well, the flip side, Steelman, and again, this is not to pardon it. In Canada, you can't even recreate or even draw things that would otherwise be illegal in terms of child content. There'll be people who say, look, it's just adult dressing up like kids and everybody likes to role play. There's furries, whatever. I mean, I could understand that would be the rationale. Bottom line, ethics and morals, it'll be what it is. Illegal. I don't know that it's not illegal, but the question is going to be this. They own a bunch of these domain names because they're buying mass domain names for whatever the reason. To say, I'm curious to know what the steelman argument would be for how you act. If you're buying in bulk, how do you accidentally buy specific domain names that are pornographic related? Let's set aside until we get into the specific searching for specific terms.
And why do you ask in forums to buy these things? I mean, like, that's another thing. So they were actively asking someone how much teen pies would be. And also the domain 17 only girls was purchased manually, and Ed Krassenstein made a post. No, 70 only girls. We only did this to sell DVDs and magazines to underage girls. Yeah, and then if you go into the Bayback Machine, you enter this website. You enter 17onlygirls.com. While they were owning the domain, you had like this porn landing site, which is working like a parking site, but it had all the porn stuff on it. So things were quite clear even back then, and there's no excuse to say, look, to sugarcoat it, but that's what they were doing. They could just say, like, hey, we made a mistake, we were young too, okay, they weren't that young, they were like beginning of the 30s when they still were doing this, but still they can say, sorry, it's far in the past, we did a mistake, sorry, we're not doing this anymore, we only own this one porn domain right now, and sorry guys. But they didn't man up. They didn't say, like, sorry, this was a mistake. They kept on digging their own hole. They kept on doing spaces where they even were admitting of looking for child porn on X. They're so crazy. It's like, to me, there's no explanation why they're reacting like this. They could just be like men and say, like, sorry guys, this was a mistake. But maybe they can't.
Or even like, if I were their attorney, you could even just steelman it. It was the time frame is 99 to 2011, correct?
2014 even. So
okay, so as of 2014, they no longer own the domain names for any of these questionable sites.
Not the questionable. They still own porn domain names, but not any of these questionable sites. That's correct.
Okay, and we should distinguish also, for clarity, domain name versus website, because I know what the steelman argument would be. We're not operating a website, we just own a domain name. And so someone comes along and says, we want to buy that domain name from you. It's a business opportunity, a potential investment. Porn's big on the internet, so let's get that domain name. We're not going to operate a website, but if someone wants to buy it, we'll sell it. Okay. In the meantime, they're using it.
The people who would buy these domain names most likely don't do it to host adult porn. So this is the thing we were saying. So if you have these domain names that are clearly associated with underage porn, and you try to make money out of it, you're supporting the exploitation of children. And this is the argument we have, and this is why they should say, like, sorry guys, we made a mistake. Just like they were like, look how many times they call Trump a rapist and all this stuff, but they accuse others of things. But as soon as someone comes up with the receipts against them, they're saying, oh, I'm going to sue you, like these little.
Well, it's the law of woke projection, is that you accuse others of what you somehow subconsciously or consciously feel true of yourself. Yeah. So the steelman is buying domain names, not operating websites. Although I think some people might say buying a domain name, and even if you are indirectly getting ad revenue from whatever accidental traffic that you then get from you, I don't know if you operating a website is different than operating a business on a website. So some might say that just by owning a domain name, you're operating a website. Let's parse that distinction and say, okay, fine. They weren't operating porn websites. They just bought porn domain names. The initial argument that they gave, which is all on the Twitterverse, which is why I have no idea how they can admit to material facts and then threaten to sue. The original argument was we bought them in bulk. We didn't really know what we were getting. How does it? Well, and I have no idea how it works. When you buy domain names in bulk, I presume you get an inventory of names, and I presume you can exclude names that you can exclude words, much like you do on YouTube if you don't want to let people post certain words, I presume.
Yes, they said they used a script in order to get so back in the times, I think in 2007, 8, 9, 10, there was a website called Alexa, not the Alexa of Amazon, but like an Alexa which would show a website ranking. and they would get the website ranking, like sites that were ranking high, and they would try to get domains via a script that are written in a wrong way. So, for example, there's young porn that would write with two G's. So someone made a mistake, so they would get on there and probably and see some ads, and they would earn money with this. Yeah. So, but as I said, knowing that they were making money with these domains is immoral. And if they just did it with normal domains, it's totally fine. But some of these domains, they were really registered manually and not just in bulks. So they cannot come up with this argument.
Well, and now that's the next question. So even we'll move on from the bulk argument. I don't know how you could in bulk even buy certain domain names manually. So refresh on how you got evidence that they manually bought specific web domains. Web domains, not websites.
So you can see it in the registry. So if there is just one which got bought, it has like, you know, it has their name, the address, the email address, and you can just see it was bought at this one day at this time, at, you know, the only one which was bought at this specific day, and of course of the forum activity. So they've been on these domain boards, and they were actively negotiating, as I said, these domains like Teen Porn 101, Teen Pies, or Teen Pie, and singular and plural. So they were trying to buy them. I don't know if they ever owned them, but they were trying to buy them actively. And so they were knowing exactly what they were getting into. And I think just let me say something pro Krassenstein. Might sound weird, but I don't think they're pedophiles. I don't think they wanted to harm people, and I think they just didn't care, because I think they just wanted to earn money. So you can see it in their whole life how they earned money, and which kind of businesses they use to earn money, and it's like a line through their whole life. And I think
that is actually what I noticed. I shared the archived link to the Daily Beast article. I mean, get rich quick schemes. Although you never really, getting rich at 20 is a little bit different than what it feels like to get rich at 40. With the domain names, the idea, porn is, it's a known fact that the internet, I don't know what percentage of content on the internet is porn.
Way too much.
Way too much. And if you go look at, like, you look at the top 20, I'm going to do it actually when you start talking about something else in a second, just the top 20 domain names by worth. I forget what percentage are porn, but it's a known thing. So the idea, we'll go buy some nice porn domains. We'll get some incidental ad revenue from parked sites if anybody accidentally goes through them. If we sell the domain name, we can make a little bit of money there. Do we really care that we're operating in a field that has known exploitation issues? You're young. You're not at all thinking anything outside of your own head. And as detailed in that Daily Beast article, allegedly involved in a Ponzi scheme on the internet with high yield investment products. They were never charged. They were never convicted, but they had their assets seized in a civil forfeiture as a result of that alleged suspected fraudulent scheme.
$500,000. Yeah.
$500,000. And so
they claimed they didn't find a deal with the FBI, but other people claim that they said on the phone that they had a deal with the FBI. I asked them the question, like, did Ed Krassenstein really fly to Las Vegas or LA to find a deal with the FBI, as other people claim? I didn't get any reply. But it's like weird, you know. Usually when you have all the evidence against someone to raid a house, because raiding a house in the US, whenever the police does, you need like really hard evidence. So in order for them to getting this this allowance that the police is allowed to raid it, it's like a big burden, like burden. Sorry. So I mean, like, they got in there, they got the evidence, and then the Krassenstein said, like, okay, we're going to pay $500,000. So what else happened? What we don't know. We don't know. No, maybe they didn't make a deal, but I mean, like, we know that there are many victims based on the website. They said, like, they didn't know that there is like a Russian mafia behind it, etc. So you can believe them or not believe them, but the fact that they were actively advertising MLMs, so multi-level marketing stuff, all these high yield investment stuff, it actually already tells that they must have known, because they did this in the course of 13 years. And many people have been complaining about this during this time. So I think in my post, I posted victims claiming that they were like losing lots of money because of the Krassensteins. And they said, like, oh, this is fabricated, this is a fake screenshot, etc. So, but it was like an archived one. So which I screenshotted myself, so I know it was true. But yeah, so I think there are many victims, and they even in one tweet they claimed, okay, we didn't pay back all the stuff to our victims. They even talked about our victims. But on the other hand, they say like, okay, they were victims themselves by selling some ads to some Russian mafia. So I didn't look that much into this, but I think like people who were involved in these Ponzi schemes and also MLM. So today I found an article from 2007 or 2009. I know I just posted it an hour ago, where they were praising Trump. They were like huge Trump fans. It's like, it's wild, because he had like a multi-level marketing scheme, and they were like, oh, this could be the future. Could this be the breakthrough of MLMs? Oh, Trump, he has an amazing name. He's so, they were like praising, they were like loving Trump back then. And since 2004 or 5 even, that MLMs are they're not scam, but you're actually scamming people who are lower than you in the pyramid. And they must have known, and they were like praising it and trying to make more money on that one as well. So it's immoral, to say the least.
Well, I mean, in fairness, Madoff was only arrested in 2008, so maybe the world only discovered Ponzi scheme MLMs at that time. The thing is this: I've always thought, and I think that they've confirmed, but I don't know if it was tongue in cheek, that they've been paid by the Biden administration to post their crap, because I don't understand how anybody does it in good conscience and sincerely believes it. And if you don't believe it, you're not doing it for free. But when I saw them threatening to sue you, and I'm like, they're threatening to sue you while simultaneously saying, yes, we owned the domain names, but we never operated websites. We bought them in bulk, and we can't confirm if that one there, the one in particular that the Daily Mail wrote about, if we bought that manually. And I'm like, I'm just thinking.
The Daily Mail contacted me last night, and they said, like, do you have evidence that they really did it? Because Ed Krassenstein, Ed Krassenstein did a rebuttal. So he was like, really, I don't want to say harassing, but he was going after the Daily Mail. He was like, oh, they don't reply. Oh my gosh, publicly. So he wrote a rebuttal. He said like, oh, I can't remember trying to buy teenpies.com, but this could be a fake, And I was sending the Daily Mail.
It's like Madonna.
It's fake, it's archived in the link, and I was saying that it's not fake. And he was like just putting it that way that people who read this think, okay, Simon could have made it up, but I didn't make it up. So that's wild. So they always have an explanation. Whatever is happening, they have a explanation they can give you why everything they're doing is fine. But like, if you look at the sum of the things they're doing, nothing is fine at all. Because you saw my thread had 15 posts, all with a different topic of things they're doing, which is extremely odd.
Well, let's and I looked through your posts. I don't believe that you called them pedos, although I think in law,
at no single point I called them pedos. Even in space, I say like, I don't believe they're pedos, but they make me responsible that other people call them pedos. They said like, because I exposed them, I'm responsible for other people calling them pedos, and that's not true. I mean, like, I can't.
I think Elon Musk set the precedent that calling someone a pedo is not actionable in defamation in any case. So set that aside, saying that they were saying wrongly that they were charged with or convicted of or whatever. Yeah, that's defamation per se. I haven't heard you say anything bad. And then I see what their defense is admitting all of the material facts, and then saying, but we're going to, we're engaging counsel. For what? You've admitted to doing what it is, the material facts that people take issue with. Oh, I don't remember buying that one website in particular, but the domain name, but I acknowledged that I owned, they say it was 15 domain names of a pornographic nature.
More.
Were you able to counter? I don't know how you were,
so it's 15,000. I was looking through it, and you see it a lot. You see of many porn websites, you see like 5 or 6 different versions of how to spell it. But there were definitely more than 15. And I don't want to go through all this filth. So, but I saw many things. Big Boobs movie. There were many porn names that were referring to adult porn as well. But I was just concentrating on the ones that were barely legal.
Okay, I understand that. And that's another distinction. Yeah, we owned a bunch of porn names. Only a few of them were questionable, but it's niche porn and it's not illegal. It might be immoral, so don't look at it if you don't want it. Yada yada. Now hold on one second. Domain names versus operational websites. Were you or have you been able to verify which, if any, of the domain names that they owned were actually operational websites?
I think no single porn domain was operational.
Okay, interesting. So it's all parking landing pages, like when they say I can't think of an example now.
It
And I'm
still
not
has content, you know. For a person who access the website, they sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's content or not. If they are like webcam girls live on the website, you know, but it's actually linking to another website. How can the people who are accessing the website tell if it's a really operating website or just a parking website? So so there's this, huh? But I think they made the money. They made the money, especially for parking. But there are also board entries, or they're made in forums where they were asking whether how many active users or how many people are accessing the website and if it has like content. So, but I haven't found any evidence on any pornographic site that they were like really hosting stuff, and I kind of doubt it. I believe the Krassensteins there until until someone shows me
until evidence to the contrary.
Yeah.
And then even if the defense is, well, they might have been operational after we sold the domains to people who wanted to use them for porn. Fine, our hands are clean. We just made a little money off what we thought was
some are. So Teen Pie is now operational, and don't go on there. It's but okay.
I'm of the day back, and I don't even want to say it
up like just because we're talking about this, and these operators be like, why are there so many people accessing our website today?
Well, there was that one website. I can only make the joke because it made it mainstream in 30 Rock Lemon Party, and that's back in the day where like random websites which had really really obscene and content on them. Don't go look it up, people. But I'm going to bring it up just 1 second because everybody, and then we're going to get into the other stuff. Someone said, ask about the manatees, and I'll get into the manatees in a second. There was one. Here you go. This is the clip that people are sharing from a Twitter space.
16.
Oh, then you shouldn't be on X.
Are you?
Yeah, really.
You're a pedophile?
Because you do realize that X is actually a teen porn site.
What?
Yeah, search for teen porn. All the teen porn posts are going to come up tagged teen porn.
How do you know?
You can search.
16.
I don't want to steel man for Krassenstein all the time, but okay, there's teen porn. There's 18 and 19, and that's still legal. I mean, if you go to Europe, some countries have 16, 17 age of consent. Canada as well. So he's saying you go to Twitter and you look up teen porn and you'll get 18, 19-year-old porn, and it's there. And he's not wrong. I don't go searching for that on Twitter. I was watching a Howard Stern episode where they were talking about a specific person's account, which I could not believe when I went to their account what was on that account. All right, well, I mean that's about the size of it. There's no real controversy here except for the denial of the threats to sue, which would imply falseness of what you discovered, and you stand by your methodology and also the fact that you have not used any factually incorrect accusations, let alone done with malicious intent.
No. They call it harassment, but I just call it exposing. And I'm free.
The ultimate irony in terms of the karma being a biatch is that they call Trump a rapist, even though I actually shouldn't say that because I think they
pedophile. They said like he was going after little girls and whatever. It's like the medicine is coming back, but I don't call them that. So I'm just like showing receipts. And I'm just like questioning things, and I'm asking questions. I mean, like what I did as a scientist, asking questions, like looking at the status quo and questioning it, is what I did with them as well. And of course, the more I was diving into things, the more stuff turned up. And when I had the first post, there were many of my followers who were sending me DMs with even more rabbit holes I could dive into. Now I have more stuff actually to publish because people keep on sending me stuff. And I'm kind of tired to talk about this.
Well, no, it's like it does to some extent. It is sort of gossip and internet drama. There's a legal aspect to it for those who don't know. Defamation, when you're dealing with public figures, must be false, damages the reputation, and done with actual malice when they're public figures, which the Krassensteins are. So good luck proving that. B, it has to be false. If it's not false and they've basically admitted publicly to the material facts, good luck suing without yourself being hit with an anti-slap dismissal because you are trying to suppress Dr. Simon Goddek's right to exercise free speech on a matter of public importance. And you might very well unwittingly prove that you are guilty of something as relate. What's the story with the manatee? I think I know the story with the manatee. What the hell's the story?
I'll do, but they called me a foreign agent meddling with the US elections by exposing them. So that's like their take now. I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah, it's great. I mean, like I don't know. I mean, like whenever you don't have any any more reason or any more excuse you just come up with the foreign agent story. I mean, like, they didn't call me a Russian, at least. So this was the only thing missing. Goddek. It must be an Eastern European name. It must be Russian. No, but the manatee story. Oh yeah, that one is fun, because I got a cease and desist letter from Brian Krassenstein. He wrote it himself, so not even his lawyer or whatever. He wrote it via Twitter DM. So I got it, like, and it was like, okay, you're not what you were. I'm accusing you of accusing us being an what did they say? Animal abuser.
It was just it was a DM, right? It wasn't a lawyer's letter. It was a DM, and then it said lawyer contact info, or was it a straight up lawyer's letter?
Lawyer. It was like a truck crash lawyer. It was like a lawyer who was looking into truck accidents. I'm like, wow, the truck is hitting hard, Brian. But so he was calling me. He was saying, yeah, you called me an animal abuser. And I was like, I've never called him. What are you talking about? So people, of course, sent me this tweet of his that he was harassing a manatee in Florida, which is against the law. So yeah, I was also making this public then.
Do you have that video? Was there a video? Because someone again, Steelman
video, but I think they're just screenshots available now.
And apparently their explanation was that we were just spraying it with fresh water. And then some people say, well, you might not know that that's illegal, but it might very well be illegal. It's like, I'm up in Florida too. You can't feed alligators, and if you feed it, whether or not you know it's illegal, giving an alligator any food is illegal, especially on federal reserves. Harassing an alligator, there's specific criteria in terms of harassment, and there's so you got to be sensitive to this. But the irony is whether or not you think you're giving the manatee fresh water because they like to drink fresh water, spraying it with a hose. If it's in the wild, that I don't know if it is harassment, but you might be calling on the aggregate knowledge of the internet to fact check your claim that you didn't harass.
It is against the law, definitely. So I have followers who are into wildlife stuff in Florida, and they say it's definitely against the law what he did. That's why he deleted it, So when he made this video and people called him out, he deleted it right away. But he accused me of like calling him an animal abuser publicly, and never did. And of course, afterwards, I called him out on that, because I was diving into why would he say that, and I found his post about harassing this manatee, and I mean, like, I think it was no merit of him. He was just like he was just trying to be funny, He was
how
just
long?
To be, yeah.
How long ago was this?
I don't know. I think it was this year
okay. Well, I don't know. Look, and again, this is I don't play this dirty. It's not a question of saying, hey, I hate this guy politically, so go engage in lawfare for stupid things. I don't know what the statute of limitations is on wildlife harassment, if that's what it is. But anyhow, that is to say, don't that's irrelevant stuff. We're not. I'd like to say we're better than that, or at least I feel that I don't resort to that crap. Relevant stuff, undermining or at least criticizing what they're doing now and showing that they are in fact opportunistic, principleless, get-rich-quick scheme scoundrels who would take a paycheck from Joe Biden if he offered it. That's what's politically relevant. I'm not interested in getting Florida wildlife conservation on them for whatever the reason. What else? What are the other things now that you start diving down this rabbit hole?
I think this is about. So I found old Facebook groups, where they were trying to get many followers based on the earthquake on Haiti. So there's like whenever we get, I think, 9.9 million followers, we are going to empty our bank account and give money to Haiti. So they made several posts of these. So they had huge groups on Facebook just by promising stuff they would never do. So they were already scamming on Facebook, and then they renamed these groups into whatever project they had. To I think the last one was just like to spread their news website, which was pro-Democrats. So they'll get people in there and then to just support the Democrats in all means.
It's an amazing feeling. Like life is long, and sometimes you live long enough to live with the consequences of youth. And I'm not giving anybody the benefit of the doubt just to be holier than thou, and there's no but. Part of you wonders, are they trying to change their ways right now, be value added to public discourse and being haunted by the errors of their past? Or are they still exactly the way they were 20 years ago, looking for sketchy, roundabout ways to get rich quick, just to make some money? Did they cut a deal after their $500,000 civil forfeiture? I know what I think as a reasonably intelligent human being.
Yeah.
You don't need to get charged and convicted before you cut a deal, before you either cooperate to bring other people down in a scheme. I mean, and again, in as much as Jenna Ellis pleaded to save her own butt in the context, I would not blame her. I have not been in that situation myself, but that's from not having made certain decisions. All right, well, I mean, look, we can move on from the Krassensteins. I think I was just interested in the methodology and whether or not I'm so bloody neurotic that I'd be nervous about making a mistake. But then at the end of the day, I go look at their tweets and they admit to every matter of fact that you brought up. It's just that, we didn't operate a porn site. We just bought a domain. We bought them in bulk. We didn't know what we were getting. I don't remember buying anyone individually. It's not illegal. It might be immoral. It's a niche market and yada yada. We were getting all of it. Okay, fine, good.
But you know what I find weird? They're trying to reject most of my posts, but some of them they don't address. So, for example, the one with Becky. So I found out because I was in I think it was in January, February. I was like, hey, I found a website which was tracking tweets deleted from big accounts. So if you're a huge account and you delete a tweet, they would just like have it there right away on their website. Okay, he made this tweet then and he deleted it like seconds after. And I was just like typing in, as usual, at Krassenstein, like, okay, what kind of tweets did they delete? And I found one where they were blackmailing a person called Becky. Hey, Becky, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't let us I don't know, join or the DNC, or if you don't give us more power, we are gonna, things will all gonna come out, stuff like that. You have to read the tweet for yourself, but it's literally blackmailing.
Is it in your thread?
Yes. It's
how quickly can you get it?
Huh?
How quickly? Would you be able to find it faster than me?
Probably not.
And I'll say allegedly blackmailing or extorting, coercing.
Yes, of course. But I mean, like, they made this tweet. It's like, it's out there. They made this tweet for sure. So it's not like a fabrication I made. In the beginning, they said like, no, it's not true, but I could show it existed. And then they said like, yeah, well, we only made this to catch conspiracy theorists like you. And they said, oh, we only did this to catch conspiracy theorists like you. They said like this, in their video, in their explanation video. So I was like, how I mean, like, you put this out, how can it be conspiracy theory if you tweeted this? So I'm pretty sure he was messing up. He was confusing direct message with tweet. That he probably had a beer or two at night, and he was just like trying to blackmail someone. Oh shit! Oh, I shouldn't post it. Oh, delete it right away. Okay, never happened. And then he came up with an excuse that he sent a mail to himself, to Google, to his Gmail, stating, "Hey, I just made this tweet, or I'm going to make this tweet about Becky." And just to catch conspiracy theories, stuff like that. And he was giving this explanation video, showing this email, etc. But we could prove that this was fabricated. So he fabricated an email, which should serve as a proof that he never blackmailed Becky. So I confronted him. I made a video of like 5 minutes confronting him with the evidence of how he fabricated this video and asking him, why did you blackmail Becky? But they are not talking about this. They're ignoring this because, I mean, like, what can they do? I mean, like, admitting that they're blackmailing people from the DNC. So it goes very deep, and this is the rabbit hole that they're like really blackmailing people. And I talked to another big account. I cannot tell whom, because I think he doesn't want to be involved in a lawsuit against them. And but he said like also that he got blackmailed by them via their wives. But it's just like one statement against another. I don't know whom to believe, but it's a huge account which I actually trust. But I'm just like, benefit of the doubt, it never happened. But I mean, like, this person told me that. And of course, having this in my mind, I believe this with Becky could have happened. I mean, like, why would someone on like the 23rd of December or whenever it was make a tweet blackmailing a Becky and deleting it right after? It doesn't make any sense at all. And his logic, like the way he was backpedaling, usually when you accuse him of it, you could say right away, "Oh, sorry, it was just like a test. It was just like joking. I just want to see if someone saw it." But first, I was like, "No, it's fake. It's fake. It's fake." And later, he came up with the alternative explanation. And doubling down and twice is actually he's actually saying that admitting that he did something wrong. But I mean, like, I don't have 100% evidence, but the evidence is quite clear that he tried to blackmail a Becky, and I would like to know why. Still, by the way,
Hold on 1 second. We'll slight change of topic. I'll just read a couple of Rumble rants on the Rumble side. Here we got King of Biltong. Good afternoon from Anton. Biltong is one of the most protein-dense foods in the world, packed with vitamin B12, zinc, creatine, and more. Need a healthy snack? Get yours. BiltongUSA.com. Viva 10 for 10% off. Get it. And then we got M. Sidloy, who knows that I read Hebrew. It says, Shalom lech, David. Thanks for hosting, Simon. God abend, Simon. Who got hit? Who got hit? What the heck does that mean, Simon?
Who what?
Read the green. The green.
Sorry, you're on the teleprompter. It's far away, but I guess you're saying hoe gaat het? Hoe gaat het is Dutch. It means like how are you? And yeah, het gaat goed, dankjewel. That's my reply. Sounds like Hebrew a bit, like Dutch, don't you think?
It sounds like backward English is what it sounds like. Backward drunken English. Sorry, that's not nice. That's not. All languages are beautiful. All right, so you're not done with the Krassensteins yet. We'll see where that goes, and you'll see what happens. You haven't gotten sued yet for any of the tweets?
No. Never until now. I've never gotten sued for any of the tweets. I try as a scientist. I try to put it in a way that nobody can actually come after me. So don't say, "Oh, this guy is a fraud. This guy is a faggot." If you do it like this, if you state something as a fact, they can come after you. But like how I do it, I show the evidence. Like the evidence shows that it like implies, and if you formulate things like this, you're quite on the safe side.
Until certain people come into power, and then bad information becomes criminal information.
Yes.
Now, what do you have next? Now that you have these capabilities, have you? I don't know. Have you tried to? Where are you directing your efforts next that might be more fruitful or of broader impact than the Krassenstein brothers? Are you gonna tackle any?
So I don't want to have many fights online. Today I was helping Alex Rosen a bit because he has like a big fight against India. So he has like a big fight against 1.3 billion Indians for making a statement about Indians. And I was going in there. I was making a tweet with an Indian flag. I was like, "Tell me something India did not invent," and I was like, "I'll start toilet paper just as a joke, And of course, I had all the Indians coming after me now, like 1.3 billion. So I think for the next time, I need some peace, maybe. So I think I will dive back into maybe omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. I want to make a thread about this, and maybe also another one about testo. So just like some educational information, and of course Brazil. I'm living in Brazil, and we have this crazy wannabe dictator here. What's his
name? De Moraes.
Alexandre de Moraes. Yeah.
What is the currency? Thank you for reminding me. How could I almost forget? Who was the biatch that was trying to literally get you arrested in Brazil for tweeting from Brazil while using a VPN after X was outlawed in Brazil temporarily? Who the heck was that account?
Oh, it's Krassenstein's best friend. so she was.
No, hold on. De Moraes just came and nabbed Simon. Is that my internet?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, I'm using Starlink. I'm sorry, I'm using Starlink. Sometimes they have a glitch. It could be that they are deactivating it right now, but it's still.
So if someone knocks at the door, Simon, go hide under the bed. So it's one of Krassenstein's best friends, like literally trying to get you arrested in Brazil by, hey, Brazil, he's using Twitter and he's using a VPN. And then meanwhile, if you talk about Krassenstein allegedly having harassed wildlife, they cry foul. It's amazing. It's exactly doing what they are accusing others of doing.
That's what commies do. Yeah.
What is life like now in Brazil, following the arrest of Pavel, following Rumble's issues in France, X's issues in Brazil? What is the current status situation there of your access to X?
I have Starlink, so I don't even use a VPN, to be fair. Because Starlink goes up to the satellites and can even go down back to the general internet in Argentina and in other countries. So they don't rely on the Brazilian access point, to use layman terms. So I'm using Starlink. I'm in the middle of the jungle. I don't even have mobile phone connection here. I don't have neighbors. I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. I think I posted once a drone picture of my house. You see only jungle and there's small 2 or 3 pixels in the middle of the jungle where I'm living. So
that's amazing.
So yeah,
you have running water?
I have 5 water springs, so water come out of the mountain. I'm at 5,000 feet, 1,500
Shut
meters.
up. You can drink the water out of the mountain?
Yes, it's like there's rock and it's coming out, shooting out of the mountain. Yeah.
You're not afraid of beaver fever, giardia, any of these things, like some upstream shit in the water?
Nothing, because I'm the person most up on the mountain. I have solar PV here, a 12 kilowatt peak system, batteries, so I'm 100% off grid, and I grow my own food. I have my chicken. We have boars here, which me and my neighbors hunt. So I have everything here. So
It sounds like
the only
heaven on earth almost. May I ask if you're married with kids?
No, I have a wife. Kids not yet. For the reason of COVID. Not that we got COVID, but was like during this madness. Maybe it's not the better idea, the best idea, but will this year, next year. So it's planned to put it like this. But
nice.
yeah, at least we're living in paradise. We're living very much in paradise. We're living in a place where you can only get with special all-wheel drive cars. So we have an incline of 24 degrees to get up here. So the road is 24 degrees. I know. If you're familiar with this, but there are all-wheel drive cars that couldn't even make that. So also police, nothing gets up here. So nobody gets up here, and so it's quite a safe haven. Yes.
When you hunt the boars, they're very dangerous animals. Are you hunting with a gun?
No, with a trap.
Okay, fine. And what, you trap them by the legs?
Yes.
And then how do you?
My neighbors have guns. I don't, because I'm a foreigner and I would need a special license. I will eventually apply for it. But for now, my neighbors have legal guns. So
so you trap by the leg and then you shoot it when you get close to it.
They give it some headshots. Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see some vegetarians having some qualms about boars. Are they invasive in Brazil as well, or
super invasive? Super invasive. That's why actually we're doing a good job. So they're so extremely invasive that maintaining the population of them is highly important in order to also save other animals which are living here in the Atlantic rainforest, which are native.
That's wild and delicious.
They're delicious. They're wild boar and and extremely delicious.
Simon, would you grace our locals community with 15 minutes where they could ask you anything, and I think they might ask you some COVID questions?
Oh, would be lovely, yes.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, everybody, you've gotten your dirt and you got your explanation and you've gotten your fact pattern straight on the Krassensteins. Don't be, I mean, I'd say not to lecture, not to whatever. Even with your enemies, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. They haven't been convicted. People have done stupid things or immoral things, and you realize it in adulthood. They might very well be the most insincere political hacks of our time, bought and paid for by the Democrats. It does show you if they are who the Dems buy and pay for. But look, the steelmen, they bought domain names, something illegal, tried to make some money, tried to cover their asses. The controversy or the scandal always occurs in the cover-up, not in the act. And Simon, don't mess with Simon, people. I guess that's the ultimate takeaway from all of this. Simon,
always be better. So that's what I usually tell people when they are like freaking out. I will say be better than them. So that's the best advice I can always give.
Before we drop the biggest audience on YouTube, Twitter, and Rumble, not Rumble. Yeah, we're going to go over to locals. Where can people find you? I mean, I think they all know, but
literally just X. I didn't dive into other social media yet. So X, and I have a Telegram channel. So just like Goddek, just my surname on Telegram.
Okay. What does Goddek mean?
Just my surname.
What does Goddek? Does it mean anything in Dutch?
No, I think it's even maybe Eastern European. I have no clue. My father was going back in time, and 300 years back, and he couldn't even still tell where the name was coming from. So no clue. It probably doesn't have a meaning. I mean, we are the only one with a surname, so there are no other people with a surname than my family. So I have no clue.
Now what we're going to do, everybody, I'll give everybody the link to Viva Barnes Law, because I've got some questions about vitamin D that I want to ask you in there. And then let me. There's a couple of things here. Okay, I'll get to these questions when we get over to locals. Let me give everybody the link to locals. If you're coming, enjoy. If you're not, I will see you tomorrow. I'll be live. Okay, good. Simon, it's fascinating. It's been amazing. Don't go anywhere, because I'm just going to now end on YouTube. People, see you later.